Alors, bonsoir tout le monde, bienvenue à cette
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this regular public meeting of Dieppe City Council, January 12th, 2015. First meeting of the year 2015. Without further ado, I would like to have a moment of silence for the death and the funeral of Gilbert Finn this morning. A pillar of Canadian Acadian culture, representing modern Acadia here, with his participation in the development of quite a few institutions of which we are very proud and of which we've benefited, each one of us, at one point or another, these people who are in Acadie for a couple of years. So without further ado, moment of silence.
Alors, merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much. Now, for opening prayer, give me, God, the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can change, and the wisdom to know the difference. Confirmation of quorum, all members are present. Declarations of conflict of interests. Is there a member who has a conflict of interest on the items on the agenda tonight? No, so we continue with the adoption of the agenda. And I just want to note that in the agenda, it's not an addition or something that we're going to strike out. We're just going to go to item 7. We'll go talk 7.2 before talking about 7.1. So we'll have the public hearing as soon as possible. So the resolution for the adoption of the agenda, Councillor Cormier, seconded by Councillor Godet on the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Resolution is adopted as presented. And we go straight to the public hearing. Mr. Frenette, presentation, Director of Development Services of the municipality. At the rear of the room, I want to mention it now, basically the legislative aspects of the rezoning process, what it involves. I don't know if there's still copies in the back, but it was to try to maybe ease the understanding of the process as such. So, Mr. Frenette. Thank you, Your Worship. As you know, tonight is the public hearing pursuant to Article 68 on urban development, rezoning of a part of property for a commercial project. So tonight we will proceed with a background of the site and of the surroundings. Then we'll describe the project. We'll talk about the regulations and the modifications. And then following the hearing, that is when the council will be able to hear the presentations, have comments, questions, or objections from the public. So, process of the amendment, 16th of December, council set a date of the public hearing for tonight, which is the 12th of January. So there's a requirement of 2 notices in newspapers, 21 to 30 days before, and then a second days before the audience, and then another one 4 to 7 days before. The amendment notices were on the 17th and the 21st of January. There was also a letter that was sent within a radius of 100 meters with the basic information to inform them of the request. Following the public hearing tonight, we're presenting the case. We've received objections, comments from the public. Following the meeting, the next meeting on the agenda is the Planning Advisory Committee, which is scheduled for the 21st. And at that meeting, that is when the Advisory Council will make a recommendation to Municipal Council based on the report and the analysis made by staff of the municipality. So basically my department, the Planning Department. Following the 21st of January meeting, the meeting after that, at which Municipal Council will be receiving the recommendations, either a favorable recommendations or with recommendation with terms and conditions, or recommendation to put an end to the process. And but it will be at the 9th of February meeting that council will be able to say whether they continue with the recommendation, with the proposal of tonight. So to start with, the owner of the land, the 627610 NB Limited. The agents are Michel and Maurice Leblanc. The ID numbers of the NIDs are the portion of the land for 70506704 704-821, 740828, 2216. The site of the project is at the Dieppe Boulevard, with close to Yvonne Street and Valmont Crescent. As you can see, we have a site. What we see in red.
Donc, c'est ce qui est proposé de rezoner. Par contre,
So this is what we wanted to rezone. It's the property as such. It's actually just a section. I'll be presenting it later. We see the aerial view of the site. As you can see, we have Dieppe Boulevard, Yvonne Street, and Valmont Crescent, and also Kedgwick. I think it's clear. We can see it on the screen. Background, municipal plan that's in effect is it's the 2008 version. The area of the lands to be rezoned is community Fox Creek Golf Community. So this area makes possible a mix of residential and commercial. The municipal plan does not need to be amendment for the municipal plan. The rezoning, on the other hand, I'll be explaining it, it's residential. To continue with the surrounding sites, in 2011, the developer, the promoter, submitted a tentative plan to council. What you can see, the proposal in 2007, the extension of Kedgwick Avenue, the creation of a street reunion, and more or less 20 lots, residential, single family, so low density. Also in the request tonight, another subdivision requested in 2007, Lotissement Beau Soleil, Unit 2, Phase 1, the creation of which there was a public lands for public purposes on the north of the project. So the request is for amendments to the zoning. This is a different point of view. What is being asked tonight, because there was a plan that was approved by council in 2011, but was never registered, the promoter is asking to modify the resolution in 2011 to give him the permission to stop what he was doing, the residential, the extension of Kedgwick. When we received that request, we had to meet different sectors of the municipality, my sector, the engineering, the recreation, because it's lands for public purposes. We had to make analyses before making recommendations to municipal council to start the rezoning process. So proposals, if council wished to continue with the rezoning process, it was important for us to have a different access other than the one that was proposed on Kedgwick. So we needed two accesses to the site. We'll see it a little bit later. That access is the lands for public purposes to relocate it a little farther down on the property, and therefore in order to create a public lane for the lands for public purposes. So the promoter wants to rezone the properties with the NIDs I mentioned, with different commercial buildings and residential buildings. The site plan would be in two phases. Members of council have to consider that the buildings, or the numbers that you see, 1, 2, and 3, there's already a section along Boulevard Dieppe that is of the appropriate zoning tomorrow. If somebody wanted to come with a commercial project, they could do it. If they respect the zoning requirements, they can develop on the site. So what is proposed, 1, 2, 3, is already a proper zonage, proper zoning for what is requested. What is suggested by the promoter at number 1, a service station of an area of approximately 446 square meters. At number 2, a car wash area approximately 90 square meters. At number 3, some type of little strip mall and retail store, but there's no area for the truck, and the area is approximately 1,003 square meters. And then the little star also is being requested on the municipality to consider entrance exit to the site. What does need rezoning, therefore the public hearing, is the commercial project, building number 4, which would be a retail sale department with 5,388 square meters. At number 5, it would be a snow area, snow removal area. In 6, as you saw in the aerial, there are houses that have been built along Valmont Crescent. Valmont. Thank you. The promoter is suggesting a 6-meter buffer zone between the commercial area and the residence and the commercial area. You said 6 meters? Number 6, no, the buffer zone is 10 meters. 10-meter buffer zone. At number 7, as the number 6, another strip mall, equal an area approximately 1,003 square meters. Once again, the information that we have, there's no other area for discharging material. The parking lot would have 567 parking spots. And number 9, because the promoter is asking the municipality to consider to eliminate Kedgwick, the only way we could study the request is if there's a second access at the north end of the lot, and that means the creation of a public street, relocating somewhere else on the development the lands for public purposes that were already reserved on that surface. The 10-meter buffer zone, we wanted to identify it on a aerial photo. These are the houses. The buffer zone is between the red line and the yellow line. As you can see, on this buffer zone, there's no vegetation or no mature trees, but this is what the developer suggested on the site plan as a buffer zone. So it's important for us that council consider what is being proposed in the site plan. For the development of the project, as I mentioned, the zone that is next to the Dieppe Boulevard and Yvonne, the zoning is already appropriate for certain commercial use. So what is being proposed, if it respects the zoning bylaws, it's a project that can go forward. On the other hand, we're here tonight for the section towards the back of the lot, which is an R3. An R3 zone is a zone where residential density is at the highest. So the potential for residential development is at its highest in R3. What was moved was for single-family units, as you can see on the site plan that was approved by council in 2011. So what is being proposed here, if it goes forward, the zoning map, right now the zone is R3. It's not institutional, it's residential, and then the proposed zonage is mixed commercial in order to have the same zoning as at the front part of the lot. And that puts an end to my presentation, so I'm ready to answer questions and receive comments. I know that letters were received, emails were received by council. So before going to the reading of all the letters that were received, would there be questions from members of council at this point? So we'll start the reading. I was told that we received in total 33 emails and or letters at Municipal Hall, indirectly by email, directly by letter. That's exact. So we'll start the reading. For the first one, and there's no specific order, so we just go one at a time. We're residents of Valmont-Croissant in Dieppe for 4 years. We come from the north of the province. We've chosen to establish in the city of Dieppe to bring our family up in a safe and peaceful community. We bought our property on Croissant-Valmont. After many hours of research, we've chosen this neighborhood because it was a family and quiet neighborhood. But now, during the holidays in 2014, we learned through the social networks that the city was thinking of turning a land behind ours to commercial. As many people in the neighborhood, we were surprised and disappointed to hear this news. We're concerned for the security, safety of our children. I know there's a big commercial area. Car traffic is going to increase on Yvonne, just in front of a park where a lot of children, our children, spend a lot of hours playing and running. Accidents happen very quickly. We're concerned also by the extra noise, delivery trucks, snow removal, without mentioning that there'll be definitely some negative aesthetical effects. In conclusion, this is going to reduce the value of our houses, and we're already paying high municipal taxes. could be accessible if we have the possibility in living in a residential neighborhood, safe and peaceful, but less acceptable when we see our neighborhoods being transformed in a commercial area. So we're asking you to listen to our concerns and to reject this rezoning project. Annie Gagnon and Kevin Arsenault, 162 Croissant Valmont. We live at the 93 Rue Champion, and as our neighbors, we're not in favor of the rezoning that would establish a big commercial institution. Very dangerous for our children. Please consider our concerns before making a choice. We understand that the city is going to grow. We are very enthusiastic about this, but we have to consider the promises that the developer had given us and the vision that we have been attached to. Thank you very much for your time. Céline. Resident of Dieppe since 1975, I witnessed the phenomenal growth of this city. With this type of growth, it's important to define a good development plan and then to follow it. Spot zoning is going to bring into a poorly done development, bringing problems for the city, residents, and businesses. Noise, lights, traffic, big businesses, we live next to that. Especially if the houses were built in an area protected by proper zoning during the construction. Your project, Imagine Dieppe, should guide you to avoid these mistakes. I was surprised when I read the rezoning proposal for a big commercial project with a big parking lot. My surprise is because there are a lot of commercial areas around Boulevard Dieppe. The residential aspects would be affected. The people living on Yvonne and Valmont, these are high caliber residential areas. People chose to settle there because they wanted nice surroundings, peaceful. And that was basically ensured by the then plan. Property taxes paid by these people are very high. These residents deserve protection and they deserve to keep the same zoning. So they would be justified, if not, to reduce their property taxes. Even if I'm not a resident of that part, it seems that this type of rezoning request is horrible. It would mean that no part of the city would be safe from this type of development. So I'm asking you to reject this request the same way that you would if they were going to settle behind your house. Donald Landry, citizen of Dieppe. I am in support of the residents of Dieppe who are opposed to the development in the region of Boulevard Dieppe, Valmont, and Rue Yvonne. This would be better in a commercial environment. When my son wanted to purchase a land on Rue Yvonne, he showed me a beautiful neighborhood of residential areas with a golf and smaller businesses. He invested a lot of money, and now it seems that we want to change the rules because it was never a question of such a big project which would bring a lot of traffic and noise. And this next to a beautiful park for the children of the neighborhood. I'm a proud resident of the city of Dieppe, and I'm always very happy to see the city develop. But in this case, it seems to me that this project would be better in a neighborhood that is less residential. Donald Mazerol.
This proposed zoning change which would facilitate commercial development on the grounds of the negative impacts on the local community and its residents. Background. The subdivision of the Fox Street Golf Community was planned, developed to date, and advertised to be a quiet family-oriented area, initially a single-family dwellings on large lots, to be followed by some multiple-unit dwellings and small neighborhood-style commercial properties. A hotel convention center was also foreseen, as was a new school and a third 9-hole of the golf course between Yvonne and Caleb Street, all within a 15-year development plan. We bought into this concept wholeheartedly with its vision of a quality neighborhood, and we're the first people to place a deposit on a building lot. Our house and the one next door were the first to build. We have been very happy with the way our subdivision has developed and matured in its first 6 years until now. General objections. Since this proposal has come to light, we in the community have developed negative feelings, in some cases bordering our outrage. This is a sense of betrayal by the developer of this commitment to the residents to insist on the maintenance of a quality subdivision of which we can be proud. Specific concerns follow. Increased noise pollution from high volumes of truck, initially construction, later delivery, and customer vehicle traffic, and light pollution from the intense elevated lighting. As well, it is understood that snow removed from the parking and delivery area may be dumped along the southeast side of the property, up against the so-called buffer zone, beyond properties on Valmont Crescent. It may be argued that this area and infrastructure does not lend itself to proper runoff from melting snow mountains and could result in expensive flooding. Although it may conform to legal requirements, it is felt that the buffer zone between this development and the properties which directly border it is totally inadequate when aforementioned vehicle, light, and story pollution factors are considered. Safety concerns for neighborhood children from the greatly increased traffic, especially as our new play park is directly across Yvonne Street from the proposed development. The presence of commercial development of this size is likely to cause depressed property values throughout the subdivision, and especially to properties on Valmont Crescent. The magnitude of this effect is difficult to predict accurately. Personal objections. As mentioned above, we bought into a vision of a quality neighborhood and paid a premium to become part of it. For some time, we have heard rumors that the third 9 holes of the golf course, which would border the rear of our property, may not be built. We are understandably concerned about what may replace this, especially because we wanted no buildings being behind us. Following on this concern, we are deeply disturbed at the prospect of this large commercial development intruding on our community. Close by, we already have a grocery store. We have a drugstore, we have a gym, a pizza shop, and the aquatic center. We have an ANBL store. We have a gas station and a coffee shop. We have an animal hospital. We have several small shops and empty storefronts waiting to welcome new businesses. And we have a wonderful golf course. We have no need of this additional commercial development and feel insulted that the developer would think that we will welcome it. More and bigger are not necessarily better. Respectively submitted for the consideration of City Council, Development Committee, and City staff, in the hope that the proposal will not receive the necessary support. Donald E. Peterson, Jeanette F. Peterson. En 2011, ma conjointe et moi avons fait construire.
In 2011, we had our house built on Valmont Crescent. We didn't decide to build here lightly. We were looking for a peaceful area where we could bring our children up peaceably. Working in Shediac, I still decided to settle in Dieppe. I was seduced by their concept, golf course, parks, and the promise of another one, which would be farther back. Small businesses, cafes that would settle eventually on Dieppe Boulevard. So I decided to live in this new neighborhood, even if I had to travel on a daily basis to Shediac, even if I also paid very high property taxes. So it was very sobering when, before Christmas, I learned that the city wanted to change the zoning on lots next to us, on Valmont and Yvonne, for a big commercial complex. If this is accepted, well, it's going to be very terrible for us. 600 parking spots, a humongous commercial, a lot of car traffic that will be driving right in front of the park where my children go play on every day. Delivery trucks, snow removals, the gas station, the noise, the light, the smells. I'm writing this letter because I'm scared. I'm scared that my house is going to lose its value, that I won't be able to sell it at its proper price if I wanted to move. I'm scared that the noise and the light is going to bother me, and that these big buildings are going to be an eyesore. I'm scared for my children. Basically, we have families in this neighborhood with smaller children, and I'm very scared for the safety of the children. I'm conscious that there could be good revenue for the municipality, but I think it's important to consider the quality of life that we have in this neighborhood and we should preserve the way it is on Dieppe. This type of humongous project has no room in the residential area. So I'm asking you humbly to save one of the most beautiful neighborhoods in the area. Eric Gravel, Patricia Turcotte, resident 77 Croissant, Valmont.
Le 19
December 19th, we received a notice for a public meeting respecting the zoning to R3, the lots on Dieppe Boulevard and Yvonne Street. We're a young family, and like the majority of the neighborhood, we're not originally from Dieppe, but we decided to live here with our family and invest in this city. Croissant-Valmont, the development of Fox 3 community, we chose because it's what our family needs because of the services that are nearby and the beauty of the neighborhood and the vision that the city had for Dieppe Boulevard. This transaction was well thought, and in our eyes, we thought everything we did perfectly to protect our investment and to ensure the welfare of the family. So this new zoning request was like a cold shower for us, and we were wondering why there would be a new zoning behind our house when we had a residential area. Why is this rezoning necessary for the citizens of Dieppe? Why is the city asking to change the municipal plan that was created in 2008? Why is the municipal council, for which we have voted for the approval of this rezoning and that they're doing it for purely monetary reasons? It's evident that that these objections for the project is going to increase the noise from the trucks that are coming to deliver and also the snowplows. There will be much more noise that will be caused at all times of night as well. And this commercial complex, which is behind our house, will create a lot more coming and going and a lot more noise during the day and during the night. The city has invested with our tax monies a new park that was directly behind this proposed project. There will be much more coming and going and a lot more cars, trailer trucks who will be using the area, the street, and also the gas station, and there could be more accidents for children in our area. There will be an increase of noise and disruption of the tranquility in our neighborhood by the extra people that will be here. That is in our neighborhood, which is so close to this new commercial development. This is a big building of 58,000 square feet, which is very close to our house, and we have no mature trees to protect us and no fences. There will be light pollution as well with huge lamps that will illuminate the site. It will destroy the beauty of our neighborhood and Dieppe Boulevard. If the this potential builder wants to create food businesses, there will be a lot more garbage, and that will create undesirable odors and more wild animals, so it create a nuisance for our residences. There are a lot of lots that are already there in the city that can welcome these new developments. For these reasons, I think that there would be we would have less success to resell our houses, and our houses will have a diminished value. I hope that this rezoning I think this rezoning will have a serious impact on the quality of our family, our life, and in the neighborhood. I also send a link with this of a petition that was signed by people that are opposing this project. I would appreciate to address the council to speak of my concerns. Signed, Gisèle Albert, Stephanie Albert, 46 Valmont Crescent.
For many options in Moncton and Dieppe in review when we relocated back to the Maritimes with our two small children in 2011. This decision was based on several factors, mainly for the quality of life, not price, despite the fact that our new annual tax bill from the city of Dieppe is 200% higher than what we were paying for similar property in Western Canada. Above all, it has stated by several families in our community, our decision was based on this beautiful, upscale, modern area, golf course within walking distance with the promise of a par 3 golf course in the near future, a quiet, tranquil neighborhood, much community character, walkability, and great people. With that said, we moved the equity from our previous home that has taken several years with much hard work and invested that into our community with the insurance of a history of steady growth in market values in this region would be a safe and secure purchase. Current situation, this couldn't be further from the truth. It is your responsibility to ensure commercial growth does not impact our property values. You are key in our community for development and partnership, and we trust you to make the right choice for our future. Below are the reasons to believe our property value will have a significant negative impact, our quality of life lost, the safety of our children at risk should be strong enough reasoning for you, our elected official, to decline the rezoning proposal. Safety of our children, noise pollution, light pollution, large snow removal construction equipment with flashing beacons, loud audible backup alarms, and roaring diesel engines in early morning hours, further traffic congestions, significant decline in our biggest life decision, our property values. If you don't understand and show compassion for all our concerns, I now realize moving to Dieppe has been the biggest mistake of our lives. If this project is to move forward and all our words have fallen on deaf ears and taken lightly, then it would be our mandate that a portion of the revenue generated by allocated and compensated to those affected on these negative impacts that you approved during your tenure as mayor and council members. James and Jamie Young, 181 Valmont Crescent. This letter is to voice my strong opposition to the proposed development at the corner of Dieppe Boulevard and Yvonne Street. This project would have huge negative effects on this quiet residential neighborhood. My wife and I have been residents of Dieppe for over 15 years. When my wife and I purchased a lot on Yvonne, we were promised a quiet neighborhood. The neighborhood plan was shown to us, depicting large residential lots and a future golf course. A large commercial development in Frigging, well within the residential area, would have a devastating effect on this neighborhood. The noise pollution from large delivery trucks, as well as snow removal equipment during the winter, would be heard by the entire neighborhood. The light pollution from the huge parking lot would affect everyone else as well. The city has recently invested significant funds to build a beautiful play park, which would be directly in front of this proposed development. With the entrance to this project being on Yvonne Street and not Dieppe Boulevard, the increased traffic would not only diminish our quality of life, but would be an increased safety risk for a neighborhood of over 100 children and counting. The city of Dieppe already has commercial zones area. The city has invested lots of time and money to develop a detailed uptown, downtown plan to separate commercial ventures and residential areas. This plan was developed to create a vibrant, modern city, and it should be followed. Any increased revenue from this project would be more than offset by the reduction in property values from the homes on Valmont, Yvonne, and Champion. It will also make further development of this residential area unlikely, resulting unsold building lots. This area has the potential to become a large, thriving residential community, but this project puts that in jeopardy. Please do not think that these objections are a case of not in my backyard. A project of this type should not be in anyone's backyard. It is irresponsible to even consider such a large development that backs onto a quiet residential street. I ask that this zoning proposal be rejected and that the project be moved to an existing commercially zoned lot within the city. I hope that all councillors would visit the area to fully understand the impact that this project would have prior to making a final decision. Best regard, Jean-Marc Mazerol, 141 Yvonne Street, Dieppe. Je suis un médecin de famille et d'urgence et habite au 177 Yvonne. Ma femme Hélène et moi.
I'm a doctor, and I live on 177 Yvonne. My wife and I and our 3 children have been there, and I wish you to look at the different reasons why you should not change this zoning. And I speak to you as Marivon, Lapierre, all the councillors. This is a subject for our community that I am certain that your administration community have difficult decisions to make. You have to think of the commercial prosperity, yes, but the health and the balance of a residential family sector is important. We do not want to elaborate a lot, but this kind of structure in a residential zone should not be replaced by a commercial zone. This could be a mistake that we could not digest very soon. On Valmont and Yvonne and Champion are residential districts, and we do not want future businesses. You should reposition this project in another sector to give these services. Residential properties are at stake here, and families are disturbed. The lights, the safety of the children are at stake, and there would be too much noise, and this is irreparable. There is certain tension, and I'm sure that you could understand our oppositions. Message from the mayor on the Dieppe website offers to the residents quality of life, and to the visitors a destination where they could enjoy themselves and a good quality of life. A commercial vocation and the economy on respect of the environment make the city of Dieppe a privileged area for businesses and where you could raise a family as well. On the visions and values, it's a good place to conclude. I hope that you don't have a hidden agenda for this promoter. You have friends and family and grandchildren too in this area. Please take into consideration the climate, and as you take your decision for the points I mentioned. Thank you for your attention. Jimmy, Hélène, Hugo, and Leo Guignard, 177 Yvonne Street.
Families and my own opposition of the proposed development between Rue Yvonne and Dieppe Boulevard. When my wife and myself chose to move to Rue Yvonne, we did so for the love of the growing neighborhood. The quiet subdivision was stark and welcome contrast to the busy London, Ontario we left. This was to be the place my family would grow and play. This choice was made under the promise that the Dieppe Boulevard future development would be consistent with the quiet neighborhood we chose. The proposed not only contrasts that choice, but it is the exact opposite. I feel confident in saying that such a development has no place in my beautiful neighborhood. Please take this correspondence as our direct opposition to the aforementioned development rezoning and building that has been mentioned. Please keep Dieppe for families. Regards, John Farrell, 159 Rue Yvonne. The purpose of this letter is to state our objections to the proposed rezoning bylaw Z841 application, Dieppe Boulevard, Yvonne Street, and Valmont Crescent. We were quite surprised to learn the request for a rezoning was being made for lands bordering our neighborhood. We chose Dieppe and this specific neighborhood based primarily on the proposed Fox Street development plan provided by the developer. We paid a premium price for a lot located in a prestigious neighborhood with strong restrictive covenant. We invested a lot of money in our home and plan to raise our young family here. We were led to believe that future development in and beside our neighborhood would consist of residential development, an executive 9-hole golf course, and a school. The thought of a large commercial enterprise building located in proximity to our neighborhood is very disheartening, and we are questioning whether Dieppe was the right choice for our home. We have serious concern about the increase in noise from commercial traffic and construction, light pollution, and the safety of our young daughters and the other children in the neighborhood, based on the proximity of the development and the access to and from the development of the neighborhood park. Furthermore, we fear the value of our property will be reduced and will have difficulty selling our house due to its proximity to this large proposed commercial enterprise. Unlike the situation of purchasing a building lot near undeveloped land without specific zoning that is owned by someone other than the developer, we were specifically told that what type of development would surround our neighborhood, including the land which are the subject of the rezoning application. I can assure you that had we known a large commercial enterprise of this magnitude would be built so close to our house, we would not have bought this property and would have chosen to build our house elsewhere. Thank you for considering our opinions and concerns and worries. Sincerely, Lise Cormier and Chris Borden, 112 Valmont Crescent. This proposed rezoning will directly impact our family. After reviewing what little information we have received, we have some immediate concerns, which are outlined below. Property values. Having such a large commercial development in our backyard will obviously have a negative impact on our property value resale value in the future, as our quiet residential neighborhood will now have more traffic, lights, and noise. Privacy. We understand that there is to be a 10-meter buffer zone. Unfortunately, behind our home, there are only low-lying shrubs and bushes with this 10 to 15-meter buffer zone. All of the mature, taller trees, which would be needed to offer some privacy, lay beyond the 10 to 20-meter mark. So ultimately, our property and the majority of the windows in our house will now be overlooking a parking lot, snow dump, and loading zone on the backside of this large commercial building. Noise. With the snow dump and loading dock slated to go behind our home, there will be large trucks and snowplow moving around, beeping and creating a lot of noise at all hours of the day and night, as I suspect the majority of the snow clearing will likely need to take place during the night. Lights. Given the large scale of this proposed commercial building, there will be inevitably be the need for tall, bright lights, which will be shining into our backyard into the late evening, nighttime hours. Safety. As parents of 2 young girls, 1 and 5, we are also concerned about the safety of our children and the neighborhood children. There are over 100 children under the age of 12 living in this neighborhood who frequent the recently constructed park located on the bottom of Valmont and Yvonne. This park is only meters away from the entrance where large trucks are to be entering this commercial space. There are also some children who attend the English school who are bused only to the Dieppe Boulevard and have to walk home from there, likely to be crossing paths of such trucks. Cleanliness. With such a large commercial site, we suspect there will be dumpsters for garbage, which will likely be located behind the building and behind my home. We are concerned that there will offensive odors and or there will be mice and rats around the area, which could make the short trek into our backyard. As well, there will likely be an increase in litter around the general area with increased traffic flow. We ask that you please consider all of these things carefully and considerably when making your decision. Sincerely, Laurie McPhee and Jonathan Cormier, 64 Valmont Crescent.
Following the public meeting notice we received on December 18th, we would like to object to the proposed bylaw and the amendment of zoning bylaw R3 to CM in our neighborhood. We ask the council to listen to the citizens with respect to the amendment of the zoning map. When we took the decision to move to Moncton and come and move to this quarter, we thought that we had done all the research and work necessary to choose the right area for our family. If we had sold a product that answered all our needs in a tranquil area, which was peaceful with all of our children, young children, we thought as well that this neighborhood would always be residential and the zonage was in place, and it was R3. So we repeat our concerns and those of our neighbors that we're mentioning here in this letter. Are there any other lots that are already zoned commercial Dieppe that could where you could build this project? Are there businesses that want to set up there in the backyards? Have you thought about the community, which is exasperated to have received services that'll be offered by this proposed development? A car wash, a gas station, a corner store. Have you thought about ruining a residential neighborhood for this development to offer services that are already offered elsewhere? Are there any concerns by the members of the council? Is there a perception that business people in Dieppe are not open to economic development? Is there a reason why a commercial center should be in a residential section that's already established? Kedgwick and Yvonne should be residential areas. Are you comfortable? Would you be comfortable with your 8-year-old daughter to drive a bike in the neighborhood with this large business sector as well as tractor trailers? Do you think it's reasonable to disturb the citizens in a neighborhood that's already residential with a new commercial center? As a council, why did you invest thousands of dollars to create a park on Kedgwick Street in Yvonne, knowing that the entrance of a commercial center would be constructed on Kedgwick? We hold this to heart in our community. The Dupuis family on 59 Valmont Crescent. In 2008, we were charmed by the development project, which was residential on Yvonne Street, and we were promised a residential neighborhood that would be tranquil, quiet, and expensive houses, green spaces, and a golf course that would create harmony and family spirit. We were disturbed when we heard that there's a large commercial development that would come to be established in our residential area. We oppose firmly this zoning proposal. There will be increased traffic, big trucks, and on Yvonne Street, it would be dangerous for our children who ride their bikes and play every day in the park across the street. There are hundreds of children living in this area, and their security is at stake. There would be a negative impact on the value of their properties, and that would be devastating. And there'd be toxic odors, a lot of noise coming from multiple sources, from the trucks, garbage bins that would attract also pests and rats. So we're totally opposed to this zoning change. Our quality of life would be at stake. We would ask you to reject this. It has no place in a residential and family neighborhood like ours. Maryse Leblanc and Thomas Frenette.
Concern of the proposed rezoning that will directly affect the life we chose for ourselves. We built our house at the very end of what is the currently Yvonne Street, and this rezoning will affect us as well. Although I admit it will have less impact directly on us compared to those on Valmont Street, however, I still don't see this location as being a proper location for such a development. We chose this neighborhood because it was sold to us as being an old small town, kind of a development with little shops that would be directly on the Dieppe Boulevard, and the residential area is being where it currently is. During the purchase of this property, it was also promoted as being a higher-end neighborhood that will not compromise on the property values, thus having all the restrictive covenant forcing us to build our houses within a certain criteria to reinforce this. All these extras have amounted for some of us upwards of $20,000, and now these changes could even cause us to lose more money. This type of neighborhood for us was chosen again because of the plan that was sold to us for the safety of our future children. We wanted this area because it's a residential area. So here are my concerns that would affect my family with the proposed rezoning plan. This will definitely have an impact on the property values of all the houses in the neighborhood. The appeal of living behind such a structure will lower the property values, which will have a domino effect that will affect my family as well. Having such a big development will draw a lot of unwanted traffic to the area, which again goes directly against the vision sold to us as being an old small town feel. To make things worse, the city of Dieppe just built a beautiful park directly in front of this proposed rezoning that is always full of kids. This is the most concerning, as it will jeopardize the safety of our children and future children. Many parents will see this as an obstacle and won't be comfortable bringing their children to play there. Another side of this increased traffic is that it would cause extra pollution, noise, wear, and tear to the area. My other concern is safety of our homes. Such big development tends to bring crime to the area. If you have a big commercial building like this, it will promote criminal activities in the area. Being a higher-end neighborhood, these criminals will certainly be tempted to hang around this part of town. This was also a big factor of building in the area. These are the kind of decisions that need to be made with the input of the public that it directly affects. There is plenty of space higher up Dieppe Boulevard that could accommodate such a development. Therefore, there is no need to ruin what many of us planned for our lives. We trust that your decision will be made for the best interest of the general public in the area. Respectfully, Mathieu and Christine Hébert, 323 Yvonne Street. No. Water break. Je m'oppose à la proposition de rezonage de la rue Yvonne. Les citoyens dans le voisinage vont subir plusieurs effets négatifs, tels que l'augmentation du trafic très proche du nouveau parc, plus de bruit, l'éclairage commercial la nuit et une augmentation de pollution et la diminution de la valeur des propriétés résidentielles dans le coin. Il y a plusieurs endroits dans la ville qui sont déjà zonés pour des développements commerciaux.
So, please, people who live in that part of town decided to go there because it's a peaceful area of town, and we understand that the city wants to continue to develop, but there should be more appropriate places for this type of commercial development. Michel Hébert, 38 Champion Street. Since 1990, we've been residents in Dieppe, Laurier, Jean d'Arroy to Guylaine, and to Guylaine to Valmont. Choosing Fox Creek next to the golf course was a well-thought decision because we had the right vision, the same one as the developer. Unfortunately, things changed on Guylaine, and all of a sudden we found ourselves having to sell our houses. The choice on Valmont was done. We consulted all the plans and we got the insurance, the assurance that there would be no changes. The recent news of the zoning change of the city of Dieppe is not only unacceptable but totally immoral. If you consider the young community of the neighborhood, we thought that we were doing business with people of their word. Changing plans to the detriment of the citizens is not what we elected you for. We're asking you to reject the rezoning proposal to maintain the well-being and harmony of citizens. We count on you to defend our rights in the respect of the initial engagements. Mercer and Friends, Roman, 169 Valmont Crescent.
20 years, and during this time, I have been proud of the city of Dieppe and the manner in which it has grown. It's clear that the city has worked diligently at defining residential, commercial, and industrial zone to enable growth in a responsible and sustainable way. I am writing to you to ask that you decline the request to change the zoning next to Yvonne and Valmont Street and keep the original residential zone that was established. There are many nearby commercial zones with available land that could accommodate a sizable project without negatively impacting the resident. If the proposed change were to go ahead and a commercial endeavor of this size were permitted to be at such close proximity to a residential zone, it would have a very negative impact on the quality of life of the nearby resident, in addition to a significant increase in noise pollution and light pollution. This endeavor would reduce the value of the home of the nearby resident, thus reducing the tax base the city collects from these residents. These residents chose to invest in a new home and pay a premium for their lots because of the good quality of life the proposed development would provide them. The zoning approved by the city at the time of the initial development of this area supported the developer's plan and showed the new resident that the city shared this vision. Finally, the city has recently invested in a children's park that is located next to the proposed land behind discussed, and this endeavor would increase the traffic next to the park. This increase of traffic would increase the danger for the children and reduce the amount of parents that are comfortable having their children using this facility. Please note that I have also signed an online petition comprised of other residents who have similar concern. Thanks in advance for your consideration of my request. Monique Mazerol, 141 Yvonne Street, Dieppe. We are writing this letter to express our deep concern regarding the planned rezoning of section R3 on Dieppe Boulevard and Yvonne Street. Just thinking about the development that could potentially take place behind our residence on Valmont Street makes us anxious, and with good reason. We have two grandchildren aged 14 months and 2 years. When they drive by to go to grandma's, they see the park with all the children playing. Naturally, when they come for a visit, the first thing they want to do is go to the park. With the added traffic during construction and thereafter, it will be extremely dangerous to take them anywhere near this newly constructed play area. Thinking of how we are going to impair the news to our grandkids that it's not a safe zone will be heartbreaking. And should anything happen to any of the neighborhood kids or my progeny would be devastating, not to mention how difficult such a tragedy would be to deal with. This is such a beautiful, peaceful place to raise a family and exactly what we were seeking when we purchased our home on Valmont. Our previous residence was in Memramcook, surrounded by a beautiful landscape. When we chose to move to Dieppe, the one stipulation was to find a piece of land with trees in the backyard in order to preserve our partial feeling of country living. The hubbub from the transport trucks delivering daily goods to the businesses would definitely disrupt this serenity. Of course, another huge concern that my husband and I have is the devaluation of our home due to these big commercial establishments being constructed so close to our property. We have worked very hard and invested much time and money to create a sanctuary on Valmont Street. Since the majority of our retirement fund is tied to our home, it is upsetting knowing we may lose a big part of our assets as a result of this project. We are currently entering that next phase of our lives, having carefully planned for our retirement for years. A hit to our resources at this stage of the game could possibly set us back several years. I pray you will make the right decision and make our neighborhood safe for everyone. Monique and Guy Godette, 52 Valmont Crescent. Le 8 septembre dernier, après de...
On the 8th of September, I took possession of a residence at 58 Valmont Crescent. The purchase of a property is one of the most serious decisions of one's life. Involves, as you know, considering all determining factors on the quality of life. Meticulous analysis convinced me that this was the best place to see my three daughters grow, with the possibility of a good resale value. I had already found out, or tried to find out, what was going to happen in my back room. I was told that there was going to be a residential development, and that would be good for the neighborhood. So I was very surprised to hear of this commercial development just in my backyard. Things that have been mentioned by my neighbors who brought their comments here too. I am also opposed to this rezoning project. The quality of life would take a serious hit. A lot of traffic, big trucks, and this in our backyards. In the buyer's market now, where consumers have great choice, a house with a backyard with a commercial development right behind it would not be good, or a big fence. The value of resale would be negatively impacted. So please refuse this zoning change request. Famille Marcotte, 58 Croissant Street, Croissant Valmont. Your Worship, members of Council, we want to tell you of our opposition to this zoning amendment proposal in the backyards of the Croissant Valmont. We bought our house, 187 Valmont, in the summer of 2010. We chose to move to the Fox Creek development for the quality of life, the peacefulness, the family type environment, and this very close to local services. Before purchasing, we consulted neighborhood developers, Terramine Development. They gave us a development plan of the Valmont, Yvonne, and Champion, as well as future residential development behind the Valmont Street. We could also see the commercial lands along Boulevard Dieppe. So we liked the character of the neighborhood with the walking streets and the proximity of a golf course. Prestigious neighborhood in the city of Dieppe. We were ready for the high taxes and the high prices. This developer now is requesting a rezoning for community, and this against the citizens of Fox Creek. As you know, we're very concerned concerning the value of our property. Our quality of life also would be truly affected by the traffic to this development, commercial development. Dieppe has to be open to development to economic development, but it has to be respecting environment and the rights of its citizens. You have been elected, and we hope that you will reject this proposal to amend the zone in order to respect our rights and our environment. Paul and Nathalie Bourgeois. Let me introduce myself. Pierre Lozon, owner of 41 Valmont. My family and I moved here a couple of months ago. I'm writing to tell you of our concerns concerning the zoning changes that are being proposed for a big commercial development at the intersection of Yvonne Street and Dieppe Boulevard. So I'm asking you and council to refuse this request. When we decided to settle in Dieppe rather than Moncton or another municipality, we chose Fox Creek neighborhoods for its peaceful aspect and its treed areas. That we chose this knowing the environments, knowing that there could be good value to the land. So it's with shock that we realize that there's going to be a big commercial project in our neighborhood. So my concerns are at a couple of levels. Children's safety. This will increase the traffic in the neighborhood, increase risk for our children in the park next to this land, either when walking or riding bikes. Noise pollution. Transport trucks, when they make deliveries and they back up, the snow removal teams during the winter at all hours of the night, visual pollution, commercial lampposts, light adjoining properties. This type of business also with the things that have been mentioned will make our neighborhood less attractive. The value will drop. Will the city reduce our taxes? I doubt it. I can understand that it's important to have economic development and to have services for our population. Would there not be other lands for this farther down on Dieppe Boulevard towards the new fire hall or next to the aquatic center, which would be more appropriate for this type of commercial establishment and would be less invasive for the citizens of Fox Street. So we're asking you, Mr. Melanson, and the municipal to refuse the rezoning request and to suggest another site. Pierre Lauzon, resident 41 Valmont.
C'est avec un énorme
So with much surprise that we heard the notice of the public hearing for the rezoning change to the land that's just behind our house, in which we've been living for 3 years. We chose here, specifically Valmont Street, because it was easy, it was peaceful, and it was a great family environment. We have 2 young children, and with the possibility of bringing them up in a locality that where you can find families like us. For us, it was a very good decision. We were ready to pay more to have this type of life. So now we do not understand at all, and we are angry when we read your notice. Put yourself in our shoes. It's unacceptable, and we cannot not do anything. With everything that this new development is going to bring forth, everything that is negative, it's going to impact the value of our property also. So we're not asking for any privileges. We're just asking respect of the word that was given to us concerning our values and your values. So, Your Worship, ladies and gentlemen, councillors, we have elected you, and we hope that you will reject this proposal in order to preserve our rights and harmony in the city of Dieppe. Famille Bonou at 40 Valmont Crescent. It was with great surprise that we received the notice for the public hearing for the change in zoning behind the house where we're been living for 3 years. We chose this place because of its peacefulness and its environment, and we have younger children, and we thought that bringing them up in this type of locality would be great for us and families like us. We consider it a good decision up to now because we were even ready to pay more for this type of quality of life. So now we don't understand why. You should understand, if you put yourself in our shoes, that it's unacceptable and that we cannot not do anything while our neighborhood is going to transform itself into a commercial parking lot, and it will have a humongous impact on the value of our properties. We're not asking for privileges, just the respect of our values and our rights. Your Worship, ladies and gentlemen of the Council, you were elected, so please reject this proposal in order to preserve our rights and great harmony in the city of Dieppe. Basque family, 45 Champion Street. This is to object to the rezoning project. We live on Champion Street. We've been there for 2 years with our son of 2 years. We appreciate the peacefulness, and it makes us very concerned when we see the proposal for mixed commercial rezoning. Basically, it's the reduction in the value of the properties in the subdivision. There would be a lot of traffic, and this would be bad for the peacefulness of the neighborhood. It's also very close to the playground. I would not let my small boy play there. It's a very popular park, and I find it difficult to see that it's on the other side of the street from a big commercial project. So we hope that we will reject this project. We want to maintain a beautiful, peaceful neighborhood. Marie-Claude Bourdage, Sean McDonald, and Felix McDonald, 98 Champion Street.
This as a request to stop the rezoning of our neighborhood. It is with extreme disapproval that my family and I have learned about this possibility, especially after we have signed a legal document and the developer had assured us that any future development would be strictly residential. We fear for the safety of our children, the value of our property, and the potential that the city could be held liable for any losses. We believe you have a moral and ethical responsibility to ensure the unexpected change is not approved. Handel family, 63 Champion Street.
Following the notice of the public hearing that we received on the 18th of December, we are here objecting to the proposed zonage from R3 to CM on Boulevard Dieppe, Yvonne Street, and Valmont Crescent. Municipal Council should reject this request and maintain the initial zonage. We mentioned that our family was one of the first ones to buy a piece of land on Valmont Crescent. One of the reasons to settle here was it was to be able to get a bigger piece of land and give the option or possibility to our children of playing outside. In those years, Fox Creek was the only place where we could get big lots with buffer zones. We met the promoter, and he explained to us the vision of the third phase of the Fox Creek development. The initial vision was to have a family environment with a lot of natural spaces. We found this subdivision perfect. It was great for our 3 children. It was also the idea of establishing also in a place where family was important. It was very clear at the purchase of the land that only the ones along Dieppe Boulevard were commercial. But we realized over the years that the vision was changing and it wasn't representative of what had been told to us. For example, Section 18, Annex E, restrictions of the community, for example. No tree with a diameter of more than 4 inches would be cut without the permission of Karma Investments, at the exception of those trees in order to permit the construction of the houses. Spaces of natural trees between houses, totally non-existent. Things have not been respected. So even though we are opposed to the development, we would still like to ask some questions because we're not too sure as to whether this project is going to be accepted or not. What kind of businesses would have commercial enterprises here? Would they be Sobeys, the same as similar Sobeys, like a co-op? Why change the zoning map? Would it be a 24 hours operations business? If yes, what kind of noise pollution and light pollution is it going to be? Noise pollution can be very negative for children, especially long term. Will there be heavy equipment? If yes, what kind of noise pollution and visual pollution will there be? Are there any commercial or mixed commercial lots in Dieppe that meet their needs? If yes, why are these lands not considered before studying the changes to existing zonage? When they receive a request or proposal for development, does council have the possibility of rejecting immediately the request, or does it have to go to the citizens to propose them, to suggest bylaws? When we bought our land, Réunion Street was not in the plans. It was added afterwards. We would like to know if this street will still be open with this development and will be accessible from the business area. We have a 2-story house, so even if there's a 8-foot fence around the business, we'll still have a view on a big stretch of asphalt, even with the trees. What kind of impact is this commercial development going to have in visual pollution? If in the future this business closes its doors, what will happen to the development? The economy right now forces many businesses to close. For example, Sobeys in Takade-Shaila. So the building is now a loss. Questions will be answered during the public hearing, but we would still like to receive answers to our questions because the public hearing gives very little time for discussion and is very frustrating. We hope that councillors realize the size of this project and what kind of impact it's going to have on the people. It's a drastic change in our peace. Visual pollution, noise pollution. It's going to be very bad for the safety and the development of our children. Think of our families who like to play in the streets. Vote against this amendment. Steve Richardson and Lise Como, 106 Valmont Crescent.
This correspondence is being provided to you in response to your undated public hearing notice, bylaw number Z841 notice on behalf of the residents, of 28 Valmont Crescent, Dieppe, New Brunswick. We wish to record our objection to the proposed zoning change from R3 residential medium density to CM commercial mix to the properties located along Dieppe Boulevard, Yvonne Street, and Valmont Crescent, and bearing PIDs 705-02-786 portion, 704-98241, 704-98258, and 705-02216 rezoning as illustrated in Appendix A, as defined below, attached hereto for ease of reference, are the following appendix. The background. My wife, Renelle McLaughlin, maiden name Bordage, and I purchased our home at 28 Valmont Crescent, Dieppe in December 2011. My wife and I were both moving from Halifax, Nova Scotia, where I had resided since 2007, and Renelle since 2008. Renelle was born in Dieppe and lived there with her parents, Ariel and Gloria Bordage, who have lived in Dieppe since 1979, until her move to Halifax, Nova Scotia in 2008. I lived in Riverview, New-Brunswick from the age of 2 until I moved to Halifax. When we moved back to Greater Moncton, we had a choice. After much due diligence, we chose the Fox development in 28 Valmont. At the time of selecting 28 Valmont, we understood that the subdivision would maintain its private, tranquil, and family-oriented features. As depicted in Appendix B, we understood that we would eventually have new neighbors behind us with the same or similar property to our own. We have been excited by the development on Valmont, and particularly the work of Mr. René Chasson Rimel, who continue to build quality homes with consistent characteristics, and the new park built in the summer of 2014. Following our purchase of 28 Valmont, we started our family and have one daughter, Chloe, who is 21 months old. Objections. We offer the following objections to the proposed rezoning. Alternative commercial mixed land available. We understand that there is alternative land in Dieppe that would not be required to be rezoned that could accommodate this commercial development. We do not understand the commercial rationale for the development to be situated at the location proposed. Reduction in the value of 28 Valmont. We have invested significantly in purchasing 28 Valmont and view our purchase as a very significant financial investment upon which we are relying on a future return. We have very significant concern that the development as proposed in Appendix A will have a significant negative impact on the value 28 Valmont both in short term and long term. Safety of our children. As previously noted, one of the residents of 28 Valmont is Chloe. Chloe has, as are Renelle and I, are very appreciative to have a new park located in close proximity to 28 Valmont. We frequently visit the park and value the opportunity to do so in the tranquil neighborhood that we reside. As per Appendix A, it is proposed that this small change drastically as a result of a high volume of commercial trucks and an increase in non-commercial vehicles. This would also pose significant safety concerns for not only Chloe, but the 100+ children that reside in the neighborhood adjacent to the rezoning. The additional commercial trucks and non-commercial vehicles should not enter even. Increase in noise pollution. As per Appendix A, we believe there will be a significant increase in noise as a result of a significantly higher volume of traffic, and in particular, high volume of noise as high volume of commercial trucks delivering goods to the commercial operation. Increase in visual pollution. As previously noted, we expect to eventually have neighbors behind 28 Valmont. The view of a 58,000 square foot building, additional buildings, and a 543 space parking lot is a significant negative change as compared to the development of this in space parking lot in an Appendix B, which we understood would occur. Sorry about that. This will have a negative impact on the quality of our life. Increase in light pollution. We have inferred that given the significant parking and commercial development as depicted in Appendix A, there will be significant lighting, both in the form of light fixtures and high volume of traffic. This will have a negative impact on the quality of our life. Snow removal. The location indicated on Appendix A as snow disposal causes significant concern. As you are aware, there is a ditch that runs behind the properties on Valmont adjacent to the rezoning. The ditch, especially in the spring, has a significant flow of water from both to the rezoning, from both rainfall and melting snow. Additional water flow, if any, from snow melting from the snow disposal area would pose significant risk of flooding. Furthermore, the location of the snow disposal area would further contribute to noise and light pollution previously noted. Proposed 10-meter buffer. The proposed buffer is completely inadequate. The buffer should provide for no change in current lighting, noise, and view. This would only be achieved with a significantly greater buffer than proposed. Without having the expertise required to determine what the appropriate buffer may be, we would suggest it would be at a minimum of 75 meters, but expect that council, employees of the City of Dieppe, and third-party consultant as required would be able to provide insight as to the appropriate buffer. Location of Building A. The location of Building A, a 58,000 square foot facility, is completely inappropriate. The commercial trucks will be 10 meters or approximately 30 feet from 28 Valmont, and yours resides of Valmont. This will have a significant negative impact on the quality of life in the residents on Valmont. Public hearing. Pursuant to our notice, any person may speak for or against the written objection on the public hearing. It is my understanding that you have received certain objections to the rezoning by email, letter, and phone from the citizens of Dieppe. In an effort to eventually communicate the concern of the citizens of Dieppe, it is intended that one or two individuals will speak on behalf of the citizens of Dieppe who have objections to the rezoning. The notice does not indicate a requirement to request to speak at the public hearing on 12 January 2014 at 7 p.m. However, one or two individuals opposed to the rezoning would appreciate the opportunity to address Dieppe Council. Conclusion. As noted above, we purchased and paid a premium for 28 Valmont for its private, tranquil, and family-oriented features, high quality of life. The proposed rezoning based on the objections noted above and objections I understand that you and council have received from other citizens of Dieppe will significantly deteriorate our quality of life. We, being young professionals, invested very significantly to be able to purchase 28 Valmont. We view our purchase as a significant financial investment in our future. The investment was made after due diligence and due care, and in good faith that our council will act reasonably to protect our interests, our quality of life, and our investment. Steve McLaughlin, 28 Valmont Crescent. Nous sommes originaires de la région d'Edmundston et travaillons tous les deux à Moncton depuis 2005. On fait l'achat d'une...
We're from Edmundston, and we've come to Dieppe in 2005 on Rue Croissant-Valmont because we saw a plan that was presented by the developer. Like most of our neighbors, we're very concerned by these recent changes. We believe that economic development is important for the city, but it should not be to the detriment of the many families that you represent. We would not have bought this lot if we had known of the proposed rezoning. The quality of life of families in our area would deteriorate. The increase of traffic and noise would be inevitable. In this sector where there's a park, there would be safety concerns for our children. Finally, this project will be unjust for the families like ours. We trust the city of Dieppe and the developer of the neighborhood, and we believe the city should continue to prioritize the quality of the residential neighborhoods, and we hope that you will represent the citizens and do not reject this zoning. Sylvie Nadeau, Croissant-Valmont. We want to express our concerns with the rezoning in this neighborhood. We spent most of our life in Dieppe, and the decision to stay in this region was not easy. we found the ideal neighborhood to build our dream home after much thought. When we found this lot, we were hopeful that we would have solitude in the nature while being close to sports activities and social activities for our children. We have children 2, 4, and 6 years old, and it was important to establish ourselves in a peaceful neighborhood with small businesses, cafes was acceptable, but we had never thought of having a large business of 56,000 square feet and parking for 600 cars in our neighborhood, and that the city would even consider it. The zoning map accepted by the city of Dieppe on January 31st, 2008, determined the future of our neighborhood. This vision was just for the residents of the neighborhood. We are happy to have a park for our children, and we do not want it to become a danger for our children. We did not receive an official letter from the city because we're outside the area of 100 meters, but you must know that we're equally affected by these changes. If this rezoning is approved, what will be the next? Will the new golf course become a commercial zone as well? So we're asking the city to reject this request from the developer, Sylvain Nadeau and Julie Vautour, 99 Champion Street.
Our dream home in Fox Creek off Yvonne, I am beyond stressed about the proposed rezoning. We have put our life savings into our house, which include years of waiting for the perfect location. I assume all of the residents immediately along Valmont will be desperate to stop this proposal for the same reason as us. When we bought our property, we bought into a covenant and the vision that we were told existed for the Fox Creek area. This included, from what we were told from Fox Creek development, commercial development along Kedgwick Drive and Dieppe Boulevard, that we would have a colonial type feel with nice stone exterior, etc., to fall in line with the beauty and covenant in the Fox Creek residential area. Everyone who lives here has bought into the vision when they built or purchased their homes. A beautiful, safe area to raise children, enjoy our surrounding, and have access to nicely designed amenities, nice architectural and feel. What is being proposed with this rezoning goes against all of these promises and the vision that was sold to us about the surrounding area. It essentially puts a huge commercial development and an immense parking lot right in the backyards of everyone along Valmont. This was not the intent of the land, which was zoned as residential. A large commercial development and parking area this close to our houses on Valmont backyards creates an unsafe place for the children, significant traffic for a development of this scale right off our residential streets, noise and light pollution to everyone's houses along Valmont, and would be a significant eyesore in the backyards of people who paid very high property costs for Fox Street lots based on a very different concept. My family and I, 4 Dieppe constituent, completely opposed to rezoning that is being proposed and beg of you to not let this go forward. There are already significant area available for commercial development in Dieppe and along Dieppe Boulevard, which we hope will follow the Fox Creek development plan. Please consider your taxpayers that purchased their dream homes and properties based on what was presented to us by Fox Creek Development, and do not allow this to go forward. Please do not allow this to go forward. Regards, Tasha Laroche and family, 23 Rue Champion.
I'm writing today to express my concern for this new commercial project. This type of development could bring a lot of revenue for the city, but I don't understand why it should be installed in a residential zone. We decided to build in this area, and we considered the price and the municipal taxes as well, which were very high. but it was an ideal area to raise our 2 young girls. With this new proposed project, there were a lot of aspects of our life that will be affected, even if we're on Yvonne Street. This project of 58,000 square feet will negatively impact the value of our house, as well as the parking lot, which we'll be able to see from our house. But what concerns me the most is the entrance on Yvonne Street, which will increase traffic in our area. Part of this project is directly facing our new park, and this traffic with all the delivery trucks will negatively impact the security of our children. So we think that Dieppe and its vision is a good place to live and to raise a family, but this project does not respect this vision. There are more than 100 children who live in this neighborhood. This new project will put their lives in danger and increase noise and light pollution. The odor will be bad as well, and will ruin our quality of life. Thank you, Tina Leblanc, 147 Rue Yvonne. Your Worship, I don't think we have received any more. So this finishes the reading of the letters. If you've made a few errors of pronunciation, you're forgiven in a few days because you've been at it for almost an hour and a half now. And some people here could not do that, could not raise to this challenge. You've done good work. Are there any people here who have something to add to the concerns that were raised? Is there anyone here that can represent the citizens of the neighborhood that would want to add a conclusion or want to add anything new or make a comment to anything that was said tonight? Mr. Abel, thank you. Yes, we would have questions. We know it's 58,000 square feet, but could you confirm the business that wants to set up there? You would have to ask the question to the developer who is present. It's not the responsibility of the council. Mr. Leblanc. Good evening. It's a food store. Superstore, Sobeys, Loblaws, or something. We don't have the authority right now to say for sure. Unless we absolutely have to. They would prefer waiting until the rezoning is amended before saying anything. They don't want competition. They don't want to answer that question. It's one of those three. I don't think there's a whole lot left to add. I think you can understand with all these letters that were read that it affects us. I'm at 46 Valmont. Like, I'm about 10 meters away from this new project. My wife and I have worked very hard when we decided to build our dream home on Valmont Crescent. And as most people, they sold us a project, a concept, an idea, and the municipal plan of the city showed that there would be a commerce corridor. And I'm from Caracat, and I thought, it would be like Dieppe Boulevard would be like Caracat Boulevard, with lawyers, small businesses. And the promoter sold us this idea. I hope you'll understand and put yourself in our place. I know that there's one councillor who's already lived there, and I think if he was at our place, he would understand. I think it's obvious. The noise, there's a lot of points here that will touch our lives, affect our lives, and of course the value of our investment, the quality of our life will be touched. So I think you'll put yourself in their place so you can understand. This type of rezoning, it's a sliding slope. If you say yes to this type of rezoning to this developer, and they just change their mind just like that. And if you accept that, then you accept the fact that developers can lie to the residents of Dieppe. And there are people there that are close to retirement that want to sell now. And residents of Yvonne, and we see the golf course, which is R3. Is it going to be like Trinity in Moncton? Are we going to have like apartment buildings? Perhaps the developer could do something else. Thank you for listening to us, and we hope that you will listen to us carefully. Thank you for your comments. I think the councillors understand your concerns, of course. The technicians, professionals in planning will do their work, which would take about 10 days. I don't have the dates. I'll find them. The 21st, the next step of the process would be a presentation from our planning professionals for recommendations to the planning committee, who is a group of citizens of Dieppe, and they will, after that, 2 weeks later, 2 or 3 weeks later, in February, they will present us the recommendations of the planning committee in one way or another, whether they will accept the proposals from the planning committee to reject or to amend the recommendations of the committee. So that's where we are at the moment. We understand that there are difficulties, and we will continue to see how this project will evolve in our community, and the decision will be made essentially on February 9th. Does anyone have anything to add or to present to us this evening? Would you like to give your name, please? Councillors, Your Worship, Raymond Malassa, Executive Director of Cooperative de Dieppe. I can't tell you which business will be setting up there, but I can tell you that it will not be the Dieppe Cooperative that will go elsewhere. Secondly, I live on Seal Street, so I understand the people that spoke tonight. And as a businessman, I think that with everything I've heard tonight, all that was said in those 33 letters, Mark, you have done a great job tonight. You deserve your salary. I don't think it would be very wise to set up there. I don't think citizens will support that business. Yes, sir, can you please go to the mic and give your name? Thank you. We're all nervous. We're all nervous, but it's okay. your name, please? Joseph Bastarache. I'm sorry. If it's rejected, this zoning, I have a lot that has 1,000 feet away from this lot. It starts on Champlain. And the front of my lot is already 60% zoned commercial. The other 40% behind is residential. I just wanted you to know that I have 109 acres. I don't know how big the other lot is. It's not our lot, it's not our proposal. We're not the ones that take the decision to set up there. I just wanted you to know. And I was wondering, what is the size of the other lot? In acres, Mr. Frenette? "15 acres, Mr. Leblanc? Thank you. We have 109 acres. It's mine as well as my daughter's. I wanted to tell you I'm a little bit nervous. Thank you. I know a lot of people have mentioned it. There are other commercial lots. There are other places in the city of Dieppe. It's not our place to presume where an investor will invest his money. That's a decision that is the investors, where they want to develop. In all cases of rezoning requests, it's what we receive here at the council. We have received letters that says, okay, rejected. It's because it's for the same reason that we're telling you, don't go, we're not telling you tonight to all go home. We're going to do the rezoning. So that's the question. That's why we have procedures established. And at this time, we're at the 8th step of a progression of 11 steps in this case. Sometimes it can change according to circumstances, but in this case, this is where we are. Anybody else? If not, you can stay. We still have a lot of work to do this evening. Thank you.
Steve McLaughlin.
Dieppe is
Bilingual.
c'est une ville francophone, mais qui offre des services bilingues.
I married a beautiful Acadian woman, so I understand. Do the letters continue forward to CCU?
Yes.
We don't need to resubmit them to a new group.
No. Oh, sorry. My
Is there a
mistake.
process there that we should be aware of to communicate our concerns, or
Monsieur Frenette.
does this form part of public record where the minutes are shared at the CCU, or?
Well, the legal procedure for a rezoning is basically tonight. As for our recommendation, the official recommendation of the staff and the PAC, at that meeting, you're more than welcome to be at the meeting, but really it was tonight that the council has to receive all the complaint or any objection.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
But I'm sure that, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure you will, that the spirit of the letters and the volume of the letters will be reflected in the report that you're going to be submitting to the CCU.
Also, and we're going to make a complete analysis of all the comment we receive tonight, and we're going to submit it to you guys, the member of the council.
Yeah, so I just expect there to be a folder from the developer and a folder from the citizens would be what I would expect, or nothing.
Part of the report, staff report.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you. Quelqu'un d'autre ou des membres du conseil?
Anyone else, councillors? Mr. Medieval. Thank you, Your Worship. I just want to make sure that it's clear. The question asked by Mr. Richardson, who asked if we are obliged to receive all these requests and then analyze them. You indicated it clearly, but I just want to ensure that people understand the process, that make sure that we go through the process and we discuss and listen to people and we come to an understanding or a conclusion by the council. This was a legitimate question. I just wanted to ensure that it was understood. Thank you, Councillor Godet. I want to thank our developers and our businessmen within the community who wish to develop our city. And I would like to thank the people who came here tonight to make their feelings heard. Of course, some people have precise opinions. I thank you for having the courage and the audacity to come here tonight and to have your opinions heard, as well as the residents of the region and the developers as well. Thank you. Councillor Leblanc. Thank you, Your Worship. I have a question. The meeting on January 21st of the Planning Committee is a public meeting, yes? Are there members who would like to hear these discussions? If it's public, they can attend. Yes, thank you for that clarification. I may not have been clear enough. If there's nothing else, now we shall continue with our second presentation. I invite you to stay if you wish, but I understand why you would be leaving. The next presentation, we will take 5-minute break. Thank you.
Alors, re-bienvenue à notre réunion du 12.
So we come back to the regular public meeting of the 12th of January. Sorry for the delay. Yeah, it's still the 12th of January. So sorry for the delay, but I think everybody needs a little bit of a breather after these 2 hours of meeting. So now we continue with the presentation by Monsieur Richard on Imagine Dieppe. Mr. Richard, hi. Good evening, Your Worship, members of council, residents. Today is the launch of the second phase of the initiative, Imagine Dieppe. So what is Imagine Dieppe? Basically, it's a participatory exercise where we're going to get some information and we're going to validate some important principles in the municipal plan. Equally, with the renewal of the strategic plan, we're going to define the main issues and the priorities more short term. So for the municipal council, it's a master document of the municipality long term, whereas the strategic plan is the document that identifies the priorities and objectives more short term. So what is Imagine Dieppe? We define 3 phases. The phase that is going to be ending soon, the consultation, November, December, where we consulted the community. We did different things. We'll mention some of those things. Phase 2, which is about to start. So this is where we want to involve a little more the community in the dialogue, deliberations to reach our objectives. So this is going to be happening in the next couple of months. And then phase 3 will be the writing of the plans, March and April, with the legislative process of the municipal plan. That'll be later on in November, but the information that we're going to be collecting in this exercise will be used to review the process. So why should residents be interested? There are 3 reasons. It's because we'll be identifying and prioritizing the needs of the infrastructures and the services, and also to plan the development of the territory. We know that it's going on in Dieppe. The territory is pretty wide. There are things left to be done. So it's an opportunity for people to come and share their vision of all this. And finally, it's a possibility to contribute to the development of Dieppe for future generations. But because what is going to be in those plans, we're not going to see the accomplishments. So we're setting the stage for the future generations. Phase 1, we did 3 things up to now. We're about to finish 3 things. A telephone survey, 400 responders. It's our last survey since 2011. The results will be presented at the municipal meeting at the Permanent Priorities Committee next week. And then we have the online survey that's going to be available starting next week for those, for example, who were not able to participate in the phone survey. We kept some important and interesting questions for the community, the members of the community who want to contribute. And finally, some of you have certainly participated in the exercise clouds. If you move around in our facilities here at the Aquatic Center or in the arenas, you've seen some types of clouds in the windows, and there were 4 questions that we were asking people. So we were able to get some information that way also. Equally in phase 1, we went to see the market Saturday morning. We asked them to describe Dieppe in 1 word. So for those who will participate in the second exercise next week, on the 27th, you'll get to know the answers of the residents when you participate in the evening of the 27th. So phase 2 is what is starting now. So how could we get involved? Well, the first thing is we want to give out a lot of information, maps and other information, so that people can really see what is already there. Our recreation, health, future possibilities, zoning maps, development maps, things that are going to be available to the residents in the lobby in Municipal Hall starting tomorrow, and that is till the 26th of January. In other words, the day before the roundtable exercise. and this is how I'm going to end my speech. So we ask everybody to come and see us and participate in this evening dialogue deliberation on the 27th of January here at Municipal Hall, starting at 6:30. We ask people, if possible, to tell us that they will be coming, so we can make sure of the logistical aspects, and we'll make sure that we can greet everyone here. So we hope to have many people come on the 27th in the evening. So that's basically a summary of the second phase. So now I'm open for questions or comments from council. Questions from members of council. Mr. Thibodeau. Thank you, Worship. You're hoping to have a lot of people, or a lot of people have answered? Do you have an idea as to how many people you're going to be coming? I have personal objectives. We shared them with you. Obviously, there's a lot of work to be done promotionally speaking. We started with community organizations. Some people have already registered, so we're doing our work and in recruitment, and we're trying to spread the word. You saw with the people in the room, we in the hall, we left cards, business cards, with people, and a lot of them have gone. So that means that people might be interested, and it's something that we hope for tonight. So the challenge was already given to municipal council to distribute cards, to contact people, to invite people. Yes, absolutely. Okay, good. Thank you, Councillor Nolan. Thank you, Your Worship. Would it be possible to get in our emails the images in English and in French so that we can send them? Technically speaking, I'm going to make sure that the communication services is going to do it. Yeah, they have to be sent to our personal networks, personal. It's not that we want to challenge the communication department to find out who has more friends, but all right. So are there any other questions? If not, thank you for your presentation. And we continue. Item 8, questions by members of the public. None? Okay. So we continue with the adoption of the minutes of the regular council meeting of December 8th, 2014, moved by Councillor Leblanc, seconded by Councillor Dallaire on the question. All those in favor of the adoption signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Minutes of the 8th of December have been adopted. Now to motions, memorandums, nominations. 10.1, municipal buildings and environment, land purchase, PID. Mr. Melanson. Thank you, Your Worship, members of council. Good evening. Tonight is to make public something that has been adopted on the 8th of November last. Champlain Street, Lakeburn area, purchase to add to the land for the sports. So it's $200,000 and plus legal fees. For the reading of the resolution, Mr. Thibodeau. Oh, I turned it on, you're turning it off. Thank you for your cooperation. I'm sorry. That council authorized the purchase of land identified under PID 009-26592 and situated on Champlain Street at the cost of $200,000 plus legal fees, and also authorized that this expenditure be defrayed from account number 3370127-608, parentheses, relocation sports field. So moved. Moved by Councillor Thibodeau, seconded by Councillor Godette on the question. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Item 10.1.1, accepted as presented. Next item, 10.1.2, another land purchase. Yes, another one. Directive from the 8th of December last, purchase of land on Acadie Street for future needs for the streets. So the acquisition at 429 Acadie, $100,000 plus legal fees. We're trying to have a budget transfer. So that is also moved. For the resolution, Councillor Cormier, please. Thank you, Your Worship. That Council authorize the purchase of land identified under PID 674150, situated at 429 Acadie Avenue, at the cost of $100,000 plus legal fees, and also authorize that this expenditure should be defrayed from account number 3-3-35-58-7622, land purchase, and that Council authorize a budget transfer from account number 7-4-20-12-0920, General Capital Reserve Fund, to account number 3-3-335-58-7622, land purchase, for the total purchase amount including legal fees. So moved. Moved by Councillor Cormier, seconded by Councillor Brideau. On the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Carried. I'm going to come back a little bit. I would have wanted to maybe present the new agent, not quite, yes. Well, he's an RCMP officer, but right now he's sergeant who has just joined Kodiak to replace Mr. Vautour, who was transferred outside of the region. So I'm introducing to you Jamie George. George, if you want to go to the mic and give us a little bit of background on yourself, and afterwards, if you wanted to leave, you may leave, but you are welcome to stay with us till the end of the evening. Thank you, Your Worship. As Mr. Bastrache was, I'm a little nervous because this is a second language for me, so it's something I want to practice. So I'm asking you to be patient with me when I speak French. I've been with the RCMP for 24 years. I started in New-Brunswick, western part, and after 10 years I was transferred to my province. I'm from Newfoundland. That's why I don't speak French too often. But after 6 years in Newfoundland, I stayed in PEI, where I spent 8 years. And I arrived here in October. I'm the new operations officer responsible, and I work with Superintendent Paul Beauchesne. I just wanted to introduce myself to Council and also to learn what's going on here in Dieppe. And now I can answer questions. Do members of Council have questions for Mr. George, Staff Sergeant George? Mr. Thibodeau, thank you, Your Worship. It's not a question, it's just a comment. Your French is very good, and you're not the only one from Newfoundland who speaks French. Madame Carol O'Reilly, who works for the Chamber of Commerce, is also a Newfie who has already worked for the Commissioner of Official Language. On behalf of Municipal Council, I welcome you to Dieppe, and I'm convinced that we'll have the pleasure of working with you on many beautiful projects over the next couple of months and years. Thank you very much. So now we continue with our agenda. On the finance side, 10.2.1 So now it's for the renewal of insurances for liability insurance, directors, elected municipal officials, vehicles, buildings, etc., and fiduciary. So the motion is to give the Frank Cowan Company, payable to Gauguin Champlain Insurance. There are certain adjustments, decrease of third-party environmental liability insurance to 5 million. We're adding the first-party environmental liability insurance clause for a 5 million coverage, and then the increase of a liability insurance deductible to 25,000 instead of 10,000. Also, to authorize the renewal of fiduciary insurance to Southwestern Insurance Group Limited, payable to Gauguin Champlain Insurance at the cost of $3,610. For the reading of the resolution, Mr. Brideau. Your Worship, the Council accept the tender for the municipal vehicles, buildings, and liability insurance for the directors and the elected municipal officials from Frank Cowan Company, payable to Gauguin Champlain Insurance at the cost of $317,345 for 2015. That Council authorized the decrease of third-party environmental liability insurance limits to 5 million. The insertion of a first-party environmental liability insurance clause for a 5 million coverage, and the increase of the liability insurance deductible to $25 instead of $10,000. That Council authorized the renewal of a fiduciary insurance for 2015 with Southwestern Insurance Group Limited, payable to Gauguin Champlain Insurance at the cost of $3,610. So moved, Your Worship. Moved by Councillor Brideau, seconded by Councillor Nolan. On the question, Madame Dallaire. Thank you, Your Worship. I know that it was part of the information of members of council, but I think it's a good idea to make it public. For the decrease of the third-party environmental liability, we're not anticipating anything that would go beyond these amounts. Maybe you could tell us a little more on this question? Mr. Theriault. So, to answer your question, the insurance company, Cowan, has a cap at 5 million compared to BFL, whose cap is 10 million. So what we realized was BFL would only, 10 million is only for third parties. So if something happened, it would be something for the neighbor, not for us as a first party, for example, operations center. So what we decided to do was to maintain it at 10 million, but to have a 5 million for the first party and 5 million for the third party. So there's 10 million, but that's 5 plus 5. So instead of having 10 million for the third and nothing for the first. Now, if the council wishes, we could go to 10 million, but it would be with a different insurance other than Cohen. But it would have to be 10 million for the third party. Just to clarify it, we had no protection if there was a municipal liability before, and now we're adding 5 million. Is that it? Okay, thank you. Councillor Bidivo. Thank you, Your Worship. The third item, that's the increase of liability insurance deductible to, it was 10,000. Now we're going to be covering the first 25,000. Is it a big difference in the premium that we're increasing the deductible to go from the 25 to 10, from 10 to 25? It's, if we look at our previous practice, we never used or we didn't use the deductible often. So in this case, there would have to be a minimum of 2 incidents that would necessitate the change. That hasn't been our experience in the past. No, it hasn't. Okay. Thank you for the clarification. So now, all those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Resolution is carried. Item 10.3.1, Leisure and Recreational Facilities Grants, various organizations. As it was discussed in the budget process in fall tonight, it's to authorize contributions to different groups who are part of these groups for a total amount of $248,912 for approval, and the possibility to emit these checks to the groups who have put in requests. For the reading of the resolution, Mr. Nolan. Thank you, Your Worship. The Council authorized the 2015 grants to the groups outlined in the memorandum dated December 22nd, 2014, submitted by the Recreation Sector Manager of the Leisure and Recreational Facilities Department. There's a typo in the French version. And further authorize the entire sum of these grants totaling $248,912 be defrayed from account number 1-2-20-28-2310 grants organizations. Moved by Councillor Nolan, seconded by Councillor Dallaire. On the question, Councillor Gaudette. I noted that our general manager just said that the grants were discussed before Christmas during the budget. If memory serves me right, I think I asked the list in order to know what amounts were given to whom, and we never received this. So I can't see how you can say this. It doesn't reflect the reality. We just received the list today to talk about it. So my first question is, for the addition that we didn't keep for the scouts, was there any justification, or is there a specific reason why we didn't maintain the amount of $4,000 additional that the scouts had asked for? What they were asking for was just, we had no explanation, so we didn't find the use, but the $1,000 that we added had to do with their water system. So we could see that it was to cover that, but the rest, we couldn't have justified it. I saw that there's a grant noted to Magma. Did CAFI ask for requests? No, all the grant requests that would not have been maintained are in your memorandum. This is the Welcome Center for Francophones, so I was just wondering if they put in requests or not. Don't know. And in the requests that were not kept, you have the two hearts of Louisbourg and the Nid Michou, which were not kept. Is it a question of criteria? Yeah, in our policy, the criteria under 24 years, but we have another policy if they want to host an environment. For example, we had the choral, the Ninmi show participated, but they were given a certain amount of money as an honorarium. And that's it. We heard this morning, again, the Ninmi show choir that in a very special ceremony, and it seems that once in a while they show the quality of our cultural elements in our community, and I would like to be able to help them. I also know that there's a twinning project, a visit in Louisiana. One of the elements of this visit was the participation of the twinning with Caron Pro. So I was wondering why that was not kept. Well, it's not part of the criteria, so we can't do it. If you have the availability of the envelopes, or if you can, okay, so when can we discuss criteria? Your Worship, if I may, grants Codette is talking about twinning. It's not the same account. We have discussions with the responsible people of the Jean Michaud Choir for the twinning project, and if it's confirmed, then we will become partners with them. For a specific project, it's not included. No, well, this here is grants for organization, not the twinning projects. I also saw that we didn't keep literacy in the primary school for the same reasons, criteria, but they can have services exchanges with the other, maybe a meeting room or a teaching room. We could find a way to collaborate with them. Okay, thank you.
Councillor Thibodeau, literacy, is there an organization that has that name? Yes. In the Francophone school district, there's an agreement with the province. Francophone, I believe. I could check to make sure. I think it's on the Anglophone side. If they don't meet the criteria, well then, one language or the other. If the criteria is not there, then that's it. Crime Stoppers requested $1,500, and you gave $750. Why didn't you want to give them the $1,500? We didn't see a big difference and why we should give them more money. So for a while it's been $750, so we gave them that. There's no big reason. Did they give you information why this year the request was for $1,500? No. And ordinarily you gave them $550, and yes, it was increased this year at $750. Thank you. So that's it for the questions for the resolution. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, nay. So this confirms 10.3. What is it? It's carried. 10.3.2, partnership agreement with Salon de Dieppe for the reading of the resolution. Thank you, Your Worship. The Council accepts the partnership agreement between the City of Dieppe and Salon du Livre de Dieppe Inc. for the period ending December 31st, 2015. I so move. Moved by Councillor Leblanc, seconded by Councillor Cormier for the question. Councillor Béliveau. Thank you, Your Worship. On page 77 of our information refers to reports that are transmitted to us annually. Did we receive these reports? Budgetary forecast, did we receive that? And the financial report, the provisional, the report? Did all this documentation was in order? Did the city receive it all? We received 5.1, the annual report in August, and budgetary forecast was with the report, and the financial report. Well, I think we received it, yes. Usually we receive all the documents. So all we need is the report from March 31st. Yes. So all those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, nay. The resolution 10.3.2 is accepted as presented. 10.3.3, Mr. Bellasso. This is for signing authority for Canadian Heritage to Celebrate Canada Program 2015. For the resolution, Councillor Thibodeau. Thank you, Your Worship. The council authorized the chief administrative officer, municipal clerk, to sign the Canadian Heritage Funding application for the Celebrate Canada program 2015 edition. I so move. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Thibodeau, seconded by Councillor Dallaire. For the question, Councillor Béliveau. Thank you, Your Worship. What is the amount that we're asking for 2015? 12,500? What did we ask for last year? In 2014, we received 10,100 in the attached report on page 83. That answers your question? No. What did we request for 2015? What are we going to ask for in 2015? 12,550. Thank you. If there's no other question, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. The resolution is adopted. 10.3.4 reimbursement request, travel expenses for Carrefour de l'Acadie School. For the resolution, Mrs. Dallaire. The council authorized the reimbursement of expenditures for road transportation, round trip Paris-Dieppe, and one group meal in the approximate total amount of $3,000 plus HST for a group consisting of students from Carrefour de l'Acadie School and adult chaperones as part of the Acadie France trip scheduled in April 2015, and further authorize that these expenditures be defrayed from account number 1-2-20-12-2145, Twitting. I want to add that this is to pay for the portion that brings our young students from Paris to Dieppe for transportation. Mr. Cormier, any questions? Mr. Leblanc, thank you, Your Worship. For purposes of clarification, I see in the documents that it is stated that we supported the twinning Carrefour de l'Acadie School for the past 3 or 4 years. What kind of support have we given them in the past for this exchange? Mr. Melanson or Mrs. Cormier? It's the same type of support. It's for transportation from Paris-Dieppe. So it's the same type of participation for the city of Dieppe. So there are groups that have done the same kind of trip in the past. I'm looking forward in the documentation. I didn't see anything. Last year, the exchanges were with the School of Dieppe and students in Normandie. So they're bringing them to Dieppe for 24 hours. So it's about the same amount that we spent before, yes. Thank you. Councillor Godet. At first reading, I thought it was a very good thing, and I wanted to know which agency could bring us return Paris-Dieppe for $3,000 for a whole group. So I think we should add in this sentence that it should be expenditures for road transportation in France or on the French territory. That would indicate what it really means. Maybe just to say Dieppe Normandie in parentheses. In the memo, we understand it, but in the resolution, we could add Dieppe. I would propose that the expenses for road transportation on French territory, brackets, round trip, and I think the rest is understandable. So they travel a lot in on the territory of France. So we should just say Dieppe and France, but between Paris and Dieppe, they can go a lot of places. But yes, you said that road transportation return on the French territory. But they're going to Angers and other places as well. L'Île de Paris, Dieppe. You could go to Shediac by going through Dorchester, you know? So your amendment, once again, to make sure that it's well understood by all councillors, to see whether we understand it, that authorize the reimbursement of expenses for road transportation on the French territory, in brackets, round trip Paris-Dieppe. Is there anybody to support this amendment? I would still like to know which agency is able to give us this prize. Councillor Beniveau, Your Worship, I would like to propose the following amendment to round trip Paris-Dieppe in Normandy. You agree with this amendment? That's it. As amended, can somebody second this? Councillor Brideau, the amendment as it was presented. Are there any questions on the amendment? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, nay. Now for the resolution as such as it was amended. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, nay. The resolution is accepted. Next resolution 10.4. Planning is to accept the recommendation of the PAC proposed amendments by Law C13 relating to the establishment of controlled access within the city of Dieppe on Boulevard Dieppe. It's very clear, 200 meters of accessibility to an intersection. Here we're looking for an amendment that will be flexible when a project needs it. So staff has a recommendation in this sense when this situation presents itself. So this is for the authorization by the council. Councillor Beniveau. The council accept the recommendation of the Planning Advisory Committee made during their meeting held on December 17, 2014, to continue the process to amend the bylaw relating to the establishment of controlled access streets within the city of Dieppe, namely bylaw C13, brackets 2014. Proposed by Councillor Beniveau, seconded by Councillor Thibodeau. For the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, nay. The resolution is adopted as presented. 10.4.2, Mr. Melanson. This is the acceptance of the PAC recommendation proposed amendments, building bylaws Z11. There have been amendments to the building code in 2014, so we're wanting to accept the changes from the building bylaw in accordance with the code. For the resolution, Councillor Thibodeau. The council accept the recommendation of the Planning Advisory Committee made during their meeting held on December 17, 2014, to continue the process to amend the building bylaw, namely bylaw Z11, brackets 2014, relating to the adoption of the barrier-free design building code. I so move. Moved by Councillor Thibodeau, seconded by Councillor Leblanc. For the question, Madame Dallard, you want to give more details? When I was reading this information, I understood that it's to ensure that our buildings are in conformity with the code and that our infrastructures that welcome all our citizens. Is this the most recent building code of 2010, or are there any more recent versions? Mr. Frenette, Mrs. Dallaire in the province. This is the most recent code. There are other instances in the country that have amendments to the National Building Code 2015. But the province has adopted the one of 2010. After 25, even though we're in 2015. We can hardly hear you because your mic is buried. In the province, we're reaching the national building of 2010, so we're just following the province with this adoption. Is it usual that the municipalities follow the same code as the province? Yes. Would it be possible for my reading to see the different codes, the different building codes, 2010 and following? 2010, the document is about this thick. Links. Well, with the links, with the national code, they're not free. You have to pay, but you could come and consult them to see if there are any major changes. What amendments have been made. And the inspectors of my division will be able to help you if there are any important changes that have been made. Yes, I will. I'll set up a meeting. Thank you. Councillor Godet. When you read the resolution, the last sentence, it's still a question of language here. So we're saying the barrier-free design building code. I thought Pierre Elliott Trudeau said that the government has no place in the bedrooms of the citizens. And here, there seems to be missing a few words. In English, it's clear. The translation that you have is right. It's barrier-free design. It's not the Immaculate Conception. It's barrier-free. The official translation you have, this is the word you have, conception. The translation that we have from the provincial building code is that, in my opinion, it's incomplete. Then speak to Prime Minister Galland, and perhaps he will change it. If there are no other questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. The resolution is adopted as presented. 10.5, Planning and Development Expropriation. We're finalizing the last details with the project on the Barche and Namiro. We've started the process of expropriation. There should be no delays on this project. We've sent notices of expropriation, so this resolution shows how we should submit it. We have an amount of $40,000 for compensation. So this authorizes the council to proceed. Councillor Nolan for the reading of the resolution. Thank you, Your Worship. The council received the reports of the Expropriation Advisory Officer, Mr. Jonathan Roch-Noel, dated December 10th, 2014, and that a notice of expropriation be issued with respect to the land described in the notice filed on November 5th, 2014 at the Westmoreland County Registry Office as number 34346396, that a notice of expropriation be issued with respect to the land described in the notice filed on November 5th, 2014 at the Westmoreland County Registry Office as number 34346412, and that the total compensation estimated at $40,000 and legal fees be defrayed from account number 3335587608, General Capital Budget. I so move. Moved by Councillor Nolan, seconded by Councillor Cormier for the question. Councillor LeBlanc. Thank you, Your Worship. In the resolution, on the last paragraph that talks about compensation, there should be a limit, or it's just an estimate. Could it be less? If we have a change, we'll come back to council. I'm used to seeing a maximum amount. This isn't the case as if it goes any farther in terms of legislation and there's an amount that's set by the court. Is that right, Mr. Desjardins? Essentially, the maximal amount here is $40,000, so we're at ease with this. This is compensation amount. But it depends upon the wishes of the council. Does that answer your question? Yes. Thank you. If there are no other questions for the resolution, those in favor say aye, contrary-minded nay. In the resolution, it's adopted as presented. 10.6, expansion Dieppe. Now all documents are finalized, so this is a directive adopted in February and June 2013. So now we want to exchange the lots on Dawson, and this resolution explains it. Councillor Cormier. The council accept that the value of future property taxes, the savings generated from the transfer of a portion of Dawson Street to Irving Tissue Corporation over the next 8.5 years, estimated at $81,000, represents the disposal value of the land, and further accept that the expenses incurred by the City of Dieppe related to this transfer be defrayed by Irving Tissue Corporation, and that the City of Dieppe commence the street closing process. I so move. Moved by Councillor Cormier. Seconded by Councillor Godet. For the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. The resolution is adopted as presented. Appointments. 10.7.1. Municipal Clerk. Councillor Leblanc. Pursuant to the authority vested by the Municipalities Act, Chapter M, 22, Article 74, brackets 2, 74, brackets 5, and 76, brackets 1, that Council appoint Marc Melançon to the position of Municipal Clerk as of the date of adoption of this resolution. I so move. Moved by Councillor Leblanc, seconded by Councillor Nolan. For the question? No questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. With a bit more enthusiasm, Mr. Godet. Does this position of an assistant, I don't know how we'll name it eventually, or what we'll call it eventually, are there any steps being taken for this? Yes, this position is vacant, but we're going to post it soon. So the offer, the public offer, are we going to do research? Yes, in the next 7 to 10 days. Do we have to start internally? No, we're going to post it publicly. Thank you. Thank you. If there are no other questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. The resolution is adopted as presented. 10.7.2. Mr. Melançon, Advisory Committee on Equal Opportunity between Women and Men. This is for adoption tonight. So for this resolution, Councillor Brideau. Councillor Brideau. And the light was the council appoint Anna Robichaud as member of the Equal Opportunity Between Women and Many Advisory Committee for another term and ending December 31st, 2017. I so move. Moved by Councillor Brideau, seconded by Councillor Nolan for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. The resolution is adopted as presented. Next, we have municipal bylaws. We have reading by title. We still have 3 minutes. We're going to be close. So it's 9:59. Can we have a motion by Councillor Leblanc, seconded by Councillor Brideau? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. So this is a resolution to continue with our meeting because according to our bylaw, we should be finished by 10 o'clock at the latest. So this resolution is accepted unanimously. 11.1. Mr. Melanson, this is a bylaw relating to the establishment of controlled access within the streets. We have a recommendation by the advisory committee, so we're going by reading by title. Mr. Béliveau, please. Bylaw number C, 13, brackets 2014, a bylaw relating to the establishment of controlled access streets within the city of Dieppe. I so move. Moved by in first reading and supported, seconded by Councillor Noda for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Accepted by first reading by title. So now for the second reading by title, Councillor Béliveau. Bylaw number C, 13, brackets 2014, a bylaw relating to the establishment of controlled access streets within the city of Dieppe. I so move. Moved by Councillor Béliveau, seconded by Councillor Nola for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Bylaw number C13 is accepted in second reading. Now for bylaw number Z11.
See Thibodeau.
Councillor Thibodeau, please. Thank you, Your Worship. Bylaw number Z-11, 2014, Building Bylaw. So moved by title. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Thibodeau, seconded by Councillor Cormier. On the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Resolution is carried. First reading. Mr. Thibodeau, second reading by title. Thank you, Your Worship. Bylaw number Z-11, 2014, Building Bylaws. So moved by title only. Second reading. Moved by Councillor Thibodeau, seconded by Councillor Cormier. On the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Z-11 is carried by title only. Second reading. Now, item 12, notice of motion, none. Item 13, inquiries and announcements by members of council. We will start with Councillor Leblanc to my extreme right, and that is not a political question, it is a geographical question. I have nothing tonight. Thank you. Councillor Brideau, same thing. I have nothing either tonight. Councillor Nolan, ditto. I have nothing to add either. Madame Dallaire, thank you, Your Worship. Nothing tonight.
Alors, Monsieur.
No pressure for anybody, Mr. Gaudet. I feel kind of obliged to save the face here of our Honorable Assembly, first of all, I would like to wish to everybody a happy new year, a generous and productive new year. And I would like to mention that those who would like to hear about our health service provincially, every other Tuesday of the month, we have very interesting meetings. Tomorrow it's at the Igloo at 8 o'clock for the breakfast, 9 o'clock for the speech, and I can assure you that questions and proposals will be very interesting. All this on the subject of our provincial health system. And I would like to thank all those who made good comments to me on our presence here, those who were here 50 years ago for the first part. I know, Jordan, I can understand those who were present for the first MIAA, Maritime Intercollegiate Athletic Association. The University of Moncton, after much discussion, had just been accepted for a half a regular schedule and also participation in tournament sports or minor sports like badminton, curling, etc. At that time, I was representing the University of Moncton at the Maritime Association, and it was my pleasure last Friday night to remember the good times with the players of the time, Roger Fournier, Keith Parkland, Paul-Émile Cormier as a goaltender, Guy Laviolette, who was one of the few. I don't remember whether he was injured, because in that league, if you didn't have a good weight and very good health, then you were taken out. So other members had members broken, and Monsieur Leblanc was there also. Herb Bro was the representative, the student representative. And it was the students at the time who had the money, and it was the students who chose the colors and who bought the jerseys and the hockey shorts for the team. The university had just started. I received a lot of comments on your hat. Thank you for your participation. Yeah, well, something was needed to help support the hat. Okay, now listen, it's too easy. I think I'll stop there. No, go ahead. No, is that all? That's all for tonight. Yes, Councillor Cormier. Thank you, Your Worship. I'd like to wish a happy New Year to all our citizens. Thank you. Councillor Thibodeau. Same thing for me. New Year's wishes to all. Thank you, Councillor Béliveau. Have a good evening, Your Worship. I have nothing. So thank you to all for having been patient during this captivating evening, important community meeting for our community. Good evening.